administration will soon award the contract for the construction of the ring road, which he said will cut across 6 local government areas and will be a legacy project. Governor Fubara spoke after inspecting deplorable sections of Degama Street, Harbour Road and Reclamation Road in the Old Port Harcourt Township and the ascending section of the bridge connecting Dr. Peter Odili Road to Woji Town. He said Port Harcourt Ring Road will decongest roads in the various localities within Port Harcourt and Obiakpor local government areas.
Signing the contract for the construction of one of the biggest single projects in this nation, being handled by a state. Lagos might have done a few, but not in one. It means a lot to us. It's a legacy project. And for those people who don't understand, it's a project that is transversing 5 to 6 local governments. And it's going to open places. People are talking about decongesting Port Harcourt. When all these places are opened, people will start moving over to those places. It will tell you the importance of the road.
Governor Fubara also spoke on the remedial works on the failed sections of the inspected roads.
Some section of the roads are really bad, so I really want to see what we can also do to resolve this problem. I really feel it's not just fixing the bad portion of this particular section, but finding a permanent solution to it. That is why I had to come with the commissioner to explain to me so I understand what the problem is. We are going to do something about it immediately. We are not wasting any time.
The governor also inspected ongoing works at the government secondary school Emoha, the failed portion of Rimigbo Road and the Ilabuchi Road, which will be part of the route for the Port Harcourt Ring Road project. Recall that during a public hearing on the 2023 supplementary budget a week ago, the Commissioner for Works, Dax George Kelly, said that the Port Harcourt Ring Road would take 3 years and 6 months to be completed. Meanwhile, the Rivers State House of Assembly has approved the request by Governor Fubara to borrow 200 billion naira to fund the Port Harcourt Ring Road. The leader of the House, Edison Ehie, who led the debate, explained how the government will repay the borrowed funds.
That the repayment plan is through the internally generated revenue, and the sources of the generated revenue are clearly stated. One, we are looking at reforms, statutory reforms from projects embarked by the state, which we are due refund by the federal government. We are also looking at statutory allocation. We are looking at we are looking at rent and sale of government assets. There is no intention to further burden taxpayers. In fact, the project itself, as I mentioned, is a tax generator.
Other lawmakers who spoke during plenary agreed with the governor's request to borrow. Shortly after the debate, the Speaker of the Assembly, Madina Mewule, read the decision of the House.
I must say that this is about the first bold step from the state governors for this huge kind of project coming to us. Distinguished colleagues, the results before us, we have 422 against, nil, abstention, nil. Therefore follows that the 10th Assembly of Rivers State has approved the request of His Excellency Governor on behalf of the Rivers State Executive Council to seek the sum of 200 billion naira for Port Harcourt Road from
Correspondent Sebiruwari reports that 2 motions concerning flooding and the removal of manholes were also debated on the floor of the House. The House later adjourned plenary to next Monday. In the meantime, the chairman of the Defense for Human Rights and Democracy, Clifford Solomon, has described the approval for Governor Fubara to borrow 200 billion naira to fund the Port Harcourt Ring Road as a bad omen for Rivers people. In an interview with our correspondent, Mr. Solomon wondered why the state government was doing to improve the state's internally generated revenue.
It's just too much. A state where there are enormous resources but kept borrowing and keeping the state in a perpetual state of servicing debt. Administration of Similaye Fubara to stop borrowing, keeping the state in perpetual debt. What is the River State government doing with the internally generated revenue and the federal government allocation that do come to the state? Some countries are not even borrowing the way River State is borrowing in Nigeria and in the world, and it's not all borrowing well.
In another development, the Rivers State Commissioner for Transport, Jacobson Mbina, says the free transport scheme is for all residents of the state and not just civil servants. Dr. Mbina said this during the flag-off of the scheme at Water Alliance Port Harcourt yesterday.
Here we are with 17 luxurious buses ready to flag off for the benefits of Rivers people. This scheme is not for workers alone, it is for entire states, including students, everybody. That is the purpose for this scheme you have brought. This is a clear demonstration that you meant well for Rivers people, and that is why you match your words with action. Thank you, Your Excellency, for making this day a reality.
Earlier, the Deputy Governor Ngozi Odu flagged off the scheme on behalf of Governor Fubara. Professor Odu said the free transportation scheme is aimed at reducing the financial burden on residents caused by the removal of petrol subsidy.
The Rivers State government is aware and concerned about the economic challenges faced by the populace as a result of the removal of fuel subsidy. Consequently, this scheme flagged up today is a deliberate intervention by the Rivers State government to mitigate the effect of these economic challenges, and therefore we must treasure it. The governor has charged the operators to be committed in their duties.
Correspondent Emeka Otukan reports that the routes for the luxurious buses are Agre to Slaughter, Mile 3 to Borokri, Education to Rumokoro, Secretariat to Borokri, Mile 1 flyover to Oyigbo, Mile 1 at the George to Location Junction, Eleme Junction to East West Road, among other routes. As you may know, since President Bola Tinubu announced the removal of petrol subsidy in his inaugural speech on May 29, a litre of petrol now sells for between 511 naira and 520 naira, leading to an increase in transportation costs. Still on this, former acting managing director of the NDDC, Ibim Seminitari, says she believes the Rivers State government will put in place modalities that will ensure the consistent working of the buses. Mrs. Seminitari spoke on Nigeria Info FM's Morning Crossfire.
So I think that is a good thing in terms of being welfaristic and taking care of the effects that the cost has had on movement. I'm sure that many of the people who have to commute to work will find this quite some relief. So I don't think you can say that this is not a good thing. I think it's a great thing because, I mean, even for me, I'm very happy to pack and ride.
She also spoke on the economic importance of the proposed Port Harcourt Ring Road project.
When you have this ring road and therefore the 6 local government areas are important, cost of housing becomes cheaper because people can actually live in their community or in less expensive community and work in the city. So you've got lower commute costs that helps the economy. You've got more space for businesses to thrive because businesses don't all have to be in the small city of Port Harcourt. You now have a mega city, businesses can go anywhere. So rural communities can no longer be rural. Companies can be established in those places. So you're talking employment, you're talking more jobs, right? So when you look at all of these, honestly, if you think of the economy of having a mega city, like
the Senate plans to probe oil subsidy and under-recovery regime at the plenary yesterday. The upper chamber specifically frowned at the 9.3 trillion naira increase in subsidy regime from January 2021 to June 2023. Lawmakers also resolved to get a living wage for Nigerian workers as a way of cushioning the effects of subsidy removal, just as they push for the establishment of 3 functional refineries for local production and distribution of refined oil to bring down the pump price from 540 naira per litre to between 300 and 350 naira per litre. These resolutions were reached after a debate on a motion sponsored by Imo North Senator Chiuba Ndubweze. Moving on. Police say they have arrested the officers caught in a viral video assaulting a man in Rivers State. The police spokesperson in the state, SP Grace Iringekoko, said this in a statement condemning the action of the officers. The statement assured the public that the officers would be investigated in line with the extant rules of the police force and appropriate sanctions applied to serve as a deterrent to others. The statement also appealed to the victims to come forward to the Public Relations Department of the command to give his own statement to help the investigation. The statement, however, assured that the identity of the victim would be protected. Still to come, APC chieftain hints at size of President Tinubu's cabinet as Nigerians await ministerial list. Stay tuned. As Nigerians await the ministerial list of President Bola Tinubu, the APC National Secretary, the APC chieftain, spoke on Channels Television last night. He said the size of the president's cabinet will be between 36 and 42.
But you know that the constitution says that a minister per state, that's 36, and one per zone, make 42, as prerogative of the president. So you can either make 36 minimum or 42 in the highest. So you can be 36, 37, 30, 40. Depending as we are moving on into it, we let you know as we go on. We are still consulting in the party arms. We are still consulting with ourselves. We are looking at the structure of the ministry. We are likely to structure the ministry to reflect the Nigerian yearnings today.
The acting Controller General of the Nigerian Customs Service, Wale Adeniyi, says President Bola Tinubu has not ordered the reopening of all Nigerian borders. The Customs CG said this after a meeting with President Tinubu yesterday. Mr. Adeniyi said only 5 borders have been reopened so far.
It is not true that all Nigerian borders have been opened. The situation, the status quo ante still existing in the borders. If you remember that the borders were completely shut down 2018 up until 2021-22 when some selected strategic borders were reopened. That is still the situation as we speak. And this was why we had an ad hoc arrangement of special units coordinated by the Office of the NSA to enforce that border closure.
The federal government has been advised to renew the family planning policy so the growing population does not affect the living conditions of citizens. A professor of ethno-communicology, Desmond Wilson, gave this advice in an interview with correspondent Soebi Oruwari while speaking on World Population Day yesterday.
People still focus on family planning. People don't do that anymore. We used to think that that was something common to the uneducated, but the educated ones are also still competing with the rural people producing children they cannot cater for. I think it's something that pay more attention to, and government has to start again to re-educate people on those actions. The campaign against uncontrolled production of children.
A development expert and professor of communication studies, Christopher Ochonogo, also spoke on this.
There is nothing they can do to stop population from growing. Otherwise, we'll go into a problem like some countries that try to control their population. So they should begin to expand infrastructure to accommodate. So Nigeria can do the same by exploiting our own competitive advantage and then putting policies in place that will make it possible for people to realize their potentials without necessarily, controlling births to the detriment of the growth of the nation.
Development economist Ugochukwu Agbarakwe also shared his thoughts on this.
The rising population theory will actually lead to a reduction in standard of living because more mouths will be feeding on the few available food. But as a development economy, that is not what we find in reality. The government will invest in agriculture, will encourage those in agricultural sector to produce more food. Will come up with policies that will encourage them to produce more food. And at the end of the day, irrespective of the rising population, the standard of living can be maintained, can even be improved.
Some residents of Port Harcourt also spoke on the World Population Day.
It's everywhere people they increase. Though money no dey, but we no go fit stop people to dey born. If government fit place certain order, if people get the capacity to fit carry their children along, fine.
The population is increasing. When they are making budget, they should consider the population, not only what they want to use to construct road. They should also consider the masses, the growing masses, on the course of their budgeting. Having in mind the growing population, they should try to implement it to the letter.
The price of things is too high. So government should help the poor masses to bring down the prices of things so that the common man can be able to afford, even though it's 1 square meal or 2 square meal.
Others appealed to the federal government to kick off the proposed National Population Census program to better understand the numerical factors and needs of citizens. World Population Day is celebrated on July 11 every year. This year's theme is Unleashing the Power of Gender Equality, uplifting the voices of women and girls to unlock our world's infinite possibilities.
And now, we'll bring you news from around the world.
NATO states say Ukraine can join the military alliance when allies agree and conditions are met. This is after Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky criticized the delay in allowing them join and describing it as absurd. In a communique, NATO said it recognized the need to move faster but would not be drawn on a time frame.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
On the news this morning, you heard Governor Fubara has described his planned legacy project, the Port Harcourt Ring Road project, as the biggest ever. Reaction is trailing lawmakers' approval for Governor Fubara to borrow the fund for the planned Port Harcourt Ring Road project. Rivers State government has clarified that the free transport scheme is for all residents of the state and not just for civil servants. The police in Rivers State has arrested the officers caught assaulting a man in a viral video. APC National Secretary Senator Iyola Omishore has hinted at the size of President Tinubu's cabinet as Nigerians await ministerial lists. Customs has cleared the air on the reopening of the country's borders, saying only 5 borders have been reopened. On the foreign scene, NATO has refused to give Ukraine membership timeframe. The news was edited by Chioma Ezemafo. Cloudy weather expected in Port Harcourt this morning. Peace is the path to the prosperity of a nation. Let peace reign. I am Ifeemi Andrew. Good morning.